Well, another day goes by, and unfortunately, Chicago Bulls player has suffered another foot injury. This time it's Julian Phillips. We're going to talk about what that injury is, how long he could be out, all that and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bulls news and content.
What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that being said, we got news fresh off the presses today. We don't even press news anymore, Haize. What are you talking about? But Julian Phillips has been diagnosed now with a foot sprain, a right foot sprain. He will be in a boot. He's out indefinitely while he's wearing that boot. So while it initially seemed like Julian Phillips was going to miss a short amount of time with his injury, seems like this has turned into something that could keep him out for an extended period of time. Now, the concern about this is, right, and I know that Bulls fans, and we're going to talk about the concern, is that Patrick Williams, who had a foot injury as well, that was initially diagnosed as something minor, ended up turning into something that he needed season-ending foot surgery on. I don't want to scare anybody. I don't think that it's even anything remotely as close to Patrick Williams, but there is going to be some fear from Bulls fans that, all right, are they being transparent enough, or could this turn into something that, yet again, that they aren't quite sure of? And it's unfortunate for Julian Phillips, who is playing his most consistent minutes that he's played in this season. When you look at it in the month of March so far, he was averaging 13 minutes per game. Now, he did have a couple of games in there, single-digit minutes that we did know about. But, while the production, like points per game or anything like that, wasn't amazing. He was shooting the ball 38% from the field, 41% from three-point range, averaging 3.7 points per game. But it seemed like Julian Phillips was at a position and a time he was going to start getting more of those consistent minutes. Now, that may not happen for the remainder of the season. We'll end up seeing what happens. If he comes back, a foot sprain, that could go anywhere to it could be maybe a couple of days where he's out, being in that boot, taking that pressure off. Maybe he's able to go. But this adds to yet another foot injury by a Chicago Bulls player. This is now the third major foot injury that we've had to a Chicago Bulls player this season. And so it adds to that kind of frustration, that doubt, that like what is going on with the Chicago Bulls medical staff, and especially on a young player that was really starting to show that he had some energy, that he, wasn't afraid of taking shots. He was taking almost 2 3-pointers per game and 3 shots overall per game. And keep in mind, does that sound like a lot? No. But for a player that is not in your game plan at all, they're not running plays for Julian Phillips, that does say a whole heck of a lot. He also took right under a 3-pointer per game last month. In the month of February, averaged 9.6 minutes per game over that course of time. So Julian Phillips was seemingly starting to round out and be a little bit more trusted by Billy Donovan and that coaching staff. What does this do now? It's too early to kind of speculate when it comes down to that. But, this injury, more so than anything, it sucks that the Chicago Bulls, who are trying to make a push for that play-in, to solidify that play-in spot that they have already at being a number 9, they're going to lose another player that was some added depth to their bench. Now, to the credit, we still got Ernolop down there. Dalen Terry's probably now going to play more consistent minutes with Julian going out as well. Torrey Craig's been back. He's back rocking and rolling, starting last game and playing, a bunch of minutes for the Chicago Bulls, and even, shooting the ball really well also. So, kind of just go back to naturally. Julian Phillips really wasn't playing much before Torrey Craig went down. So now that Torrey Craig is back in that lineup, we'll see what happens, with that. But this is just an unfortunate thing. It sucks. He'll be in a protective boot. But hopefully Julian Phillips is able to make a return. And when he does make his return, Billy Donovan still throws him back out there in some lineups, because Julian Phillips, if nothing else that he showed, even in this rookie year, Julian Phillips has shown that he does have that dog in him. He does not back down. He's not afraid of taking shots. He's not afraid of stepping up in defensive moments. He's not afraid of drawing really solid, opposing teams on that defensive side and taking those matchups. So those are all things you want to continue to reward, especially in a young player that's showing these type of things early on. And let's hope that continues. I just dropped a video earlier about a potential youth movement coming in Julian Phillips, and he will be a big part of that. So the biggest thing is getting him healthy first, getting him back on the basketball court if there's enough time, and we'll see what this ends up turning into, man. It's unfortunate, but we'll see what that's going to mean. Well, but thank you guys for tuning in. Just wanted to give a quick update. We're the number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. So when news drops, I drop. It's very simple process around here at Chicago Bulls Central. Make sure you guys are following the show at Bulls Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, bullcentralpod@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, thanks to you guys. And like I like to end every episode on, go Bulls. Love you guys. See red if you can, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.